It gives me great pleasure to introduce Monica Bertagnolli. Just give me a second, because I have to embarrass you first. The 16th director of the NCI, and as of last week, the 17th director, the second woman, the first surgeon to be director of NIH. And of course, one of the things that gives me great pleasure is we've known each other for years and years and years, because Monica was at the Brigham and Women's Hospital and the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute as a cancer surgeon, and more importantly, somebody that was committed to clinical trials, to data sharing, to equity, to diversity, and to inclusion, and really making that the core of what the Dana-Farber did, and then, and particularly for surgery, and then in a network of Cancer Trials Alliance, and really sort of move that mountain from years ago. This has been a true commitment. And I really look forward to hearing from her today, and then hearing what she plans to do in her tenure at NIH, and I think we all are privileged to have a friend in Monica, and thank you.
Okay. Well, my goodness, it's just such an honor to be here, and such a thrill in my, fifth day? Fifth day in this job, to be able to be with community that I just have such great respect for, and think that, this is what is truly going to transform the world. I'm just delighted to be here with you. So I'm going to speak for this incredible organization that I now have the honor of working with and championing. I'm very excited to be here to speak to you about how we can share and use data in our work at NIH to overcome today's many health challenges, not only here but throughout the world. Let me start with the reason why we take on this challenge. It's simple. There are so many questions critical to our ability to take care of people that cannot be addressed without data sharing across research efforts. Some examples are clear, you know them very well. Data related to older adults, any subpopulation, but even older adults, unfortunately, incredibly underrepresented in our trials. Rare diseases of all types, and we all know that there are more people with a rare disease out there than there are people with a common disease out there. Really critical. And, underrepresented populations of all types. We cannot help these people the way we need to without data sharing. Some examples are just emerging insights, just emerging though, new examples of why we need data sharing. And the most compelling one, I think, that's top of mind for everyone, is the insights we need to obtain for individual people, that patient sitting in front of us in clinic, that will come from what we hope will be the benefits of new computational methods applied to highly complex and very diverse data collections. That this is the only way we will achieve those. So as all of you today here have understood for a long time, we have to find ways to implement the programs that we need to make data sharing standard practice across all of biomedical research. And so I'll give you an example. The best way to do this is to find a situation where everyone's incentives are aligned. I can give you one specific example, turns out from the National Cancer Institute, the Childhood Cancer Data Initiative. Childhood cancers, all of them, are rare diseases. The research community has known for a long time that the data were kept in silos in treating institutions. And so, but these could be combined to produce more robust results to guide both treatment and design future research. And funding from Congress was then able, to specifically spearhead this work. So the Childhood Cancer Data Initiative was created. It has 3 foundational goals: gather data from every child, adolescent, and young adult diagnosed with a childhood cancer, regardless of where they receive their care; create a national strategy of appropriate clinical and molecular characterization to speed diagnosis and inform treatments for all types of childhood cancers; and develop a platform and tools that bring together clinical care and research data that will improve preventive measures, treatment, quality of life, and survivorship specifically for childhood cancers. So we really are talking about everything from fundamental, basic biology all the way to how do you deliver care in a clinic. But the most important thing we have seen, CCDI is now 4 years in operation. The most important and exciting thing we've seen in CCDI is that it has created a community of researchers, patients and their families, care delivery teams, academic institutions, an entire community across the globe who come together just because CCDI exists and it benefits all of them to work together using its platform. Sounds a little bit like other platforms we know about, and really that is the gold. It's the community that rallies around use of the data that then I think truly brings the incentives to bring the data there on all fronts. I'm happy to say that, what's our attitude toward things that are really difficult and challenging? It's pilot scale, pilot scale. So I'm really happy to say that many more programs of this type are under development and also in use across NIH. So we have a lot to celebrate today as we look back at how far we've come since 2015, when the Institute of Medicine released its consensus report on sharing clinical data. Many of you in the room, I think, were participating in that report, and we're here. We've added substantially to our scientific knowledge over that time. Impressive examples in fundamental science now allow us to examine complex tissues at a single cell level, and we can interrogate the incredible depth of biology, of the genome, the transcriptome, the proteome, the metabolome, the microbiome of living organisms. And in addition, new computational methods are helping us integrate all of these data, driving insights through a systems biology approach. We've also made progress delivering better treatments. For example, since 2015, there has been a truly impressive increase in the number of new therapeutics that have been approved by the FDA. Every week, you see more new treatments hitting clinical care. Underlying all of this, the tremendous explosion of data in the clinic, as well as the basic lab, we've generated data, lots and lots of data. And the progress of data acquisition is accelerating dramatically. Who knew? I never anticipated this. We now have a big problem, and we don't have enough funding just to keep the data we are getting for sharing. It's going to be one of the new challenges we have to overcome at NIH right now. The blueprint in 2015 was a very clear case for responsible data sharing. I'll just hit some of the highlights that you all know, and I'm sure you're already discussing in this meeting today. Serving public interest, fostering sound regulatory decisions, opening the door for new research, increasing the knowledge, and I want to add one more that wasn't articulated as much in that 2015 report, but we know is absolutely critical today. That is engendering trust in science. Data sharing is one of the most powerful things we can do to engender trust in science. We're putting our results out there. We're letting anyone else re-examine them, check our homework. It's just such a powerful vehicle for that, and I think that is something that the whole world needs right now. Success requires the right incentives, the right protections, interoperable data formats, shorter timelines to access data, an engaged and capable workforce, and sustainable models for data collection, storage, and use. And each one of these are a challenge we're meeting, but will continue to be a challenge going forward. And obviously, if we're going to succeed, data sharing is all about collaboration and building the communities that allow it to flourish. A couple of quick things I want to call your attention to. In 2016, just 1 year after that report, he was then Vice President, Joe Biden, launched the first cancer moonshot, named for his son, Beau. This landmark initiative to celebrate progress against cancer was supported with funding from the 21st Century Cures Act and made sharing data one of its key goals. Since that time, all findings and underlying data from every single Moonshot-funded initiative was required to be publicly available as quickly as possible. It also facilitated dissemination of new findings because all publications of Moonshot-supported research were also required to be published in open access formats. The Moonshot also invested considerably in building critical data sharing infrastructure. A key component is the Cancer Research Data Commons. 7 petabytes of data today is just a beginning, but it is broadly available to the research community, and these resources are added to every day. NIH overall in 2018 released a strategic plan for data science, which addressed many of the same challenges articulated in the IOM report, including data shareability, interoperability, and sustainability. And as part of that, again, pilot and scale, there are a number of pilots, I won't detail them all here, underway at NIH to build platforms for research data of all types and the capabilities needed to meet the standards, the FAIR standards, and also to galvanize their use by the broadest possible community. I'll just call your attention to one. The NIH Data Commons pilot phase produced the STRIDES initiative, a public-private partnership to make it possible for NIH and NIH-funded researchers to access cost-effective cloud services for data through involvement of industry, with the vision to create an interconnected ecosystem related to break down silos related to generating, analyzing, and sharing data. Obviously, President Biden has continued this momentum created by the initial moonshot by making it a priority, his personal priority, to see that research data is publicly accessible to the fullest extent possible. In the last year, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy issued guidelines to make federally funded research freely available without delay, and all of the agencies, including NIH, are required to implement these updated policies by the end of 2025. NIH added another piece to the puzzle this past January when it made effective its policy for data management and sharing. This policy is just a start. It requires that researchers receiving NIH funding detail a plan for sharing their data in their applications for funding, in new applications. It does not dictate where their data should go. We are very grateful to Vivly and other platforms that are out there because now we need a home for these data. And by the way, I'm going to take, I think, a little bit of credit for that data sharing policy in seeing what I've heard about new entries into the platform in advance of when it's even been required, just by putting out the policy saying we want to see a plan from you. It sounds like just even articulating the importance of this and a plan is already achieving some important results. I have to tell you, though, what is lacking right now, and I really am committed to seeing happen, is an NIH-funded resource that can support the data sharing needs of all funded recipients. We do not currently have the additional funding required to build a resource to fully serve the needs of our own funded community. I assure you, however, we are hard at work to design such a system, an activity that looks to many of you to provide guidance so that we are achieving the goals of the entire biomedical research community. With the examples I've briefly described here, we are piloting a number of approaches. We all know that the devil's in the details, understanding incentives, doing this that brings value, not burden, are all really critical aspects. And we really look to your guidance and advice as we implement this. The goal is to have an incentive-aligned option for every NIH-funded researcher. I want to briefly mention technology on the development side. A partnership between NIH and the new Advanced Research Project Agency for Health, ARPA-H, is allowing us to develop methods to manage many different types of data collected across many different platforms. One I want to call your attention to particularly, an effort underway across all agencies of Health and Human Resources. I imagine Dr. Califf gave you a little bit of a clue that this is coming. All agencies of HHS are aligning to support a comprehensive data infrastructure to bring data from the clinical care environment to its fullest possible use to make faster progress in preventing disease, treating disease, and promoting health and well-being. And to do this, we are collaborating to develop ways to directly engage patients and clinicians in data sharing research, a computable permissioning and consent system that allows us to directly engage people in the data sharing process. I think this is just incredibly exciting, and again, engendering trust with the people. Remember, these are clinical data. We have to do this in ways that our patients understand and accept. And the analogy I like to give is, if Amazon knows what kind of shampoo I use, we ought to be able to sit in clinic and say to our patients, we want you in the process of telling us how we can use your data and us telling you what we've been able to do with it. So we're committed to that. We need to extract data from the clinical care environment in a secure, complete, and interoperable manner, obviously employing data use models that respect the wishes of people who contribute our data, maintain privacy and security, and yet allow the broadest possible ethical use to make faster progress. It goes without saying that data sharing, inclusiveness of diverse populations, and respect for each contributing person are the fundamental features of this new cross-HHS initiative that NIH has a big part in spearheading. Once we have data, how will we use it? Just to wrap up here. We need to think of this at every step as we design our new data sharing enterprise. For example, you all know, we are all intrigued by the arrival of new computational methods in machine learning. There's two camps, those who are just thrilled, ready to go, and those that are really nervous. We need to be able to use insights that we derive from highly complex data. But the success of this is going to critically depend on the quality, diversity, and representativeness and extent of the data available from the people we serve. So included in our data collection and sharing concerns must be careful attention to understanding where the data come from, which populations are represented, how accurately the data reflect the conditions that influence human health, and many other key variables. We must always keep top of mind the trust that we must honor in how we use the data. So, in closing, it takes many teams working together to build the ecosystem that ensures responsible data sharing is standard practice and that we can continue to evolve our methods as new challenges and opportunities appear. They undoubtedly will. Just think of how different the world is from where it was in 2015. I am committed to making this work a central feature of all NIH programs, and really looking forward to working with all of you to use data sharing as the way that we will realize the full potential of our research enterprise. So thank you so much for the chance to speak with you today.